Getting you set for the national championship game on Monday night, LSU taking on Clemson. Please check out the videos we've already posted on Clemson and LSU's preparation for this game. We have a live stream coming up on a Sunday night from the LSU perspective. Please check out the notifications when we nail down a specific time. And then Monday afternoon at 1 o'clock Eastern Time, we've got Pigskin Pete on the line for a live stream to talk Clemson football, as the Tigers will just be hours away from getting it on in New Orleans. This is my take on the Clemson rush offense against the LSU defense on a Monday night. Travis Etienne, of course, is one of the very best in college football, one of the best we've seen in recent years. He has set an ACC and a national record for yards per carry, just under 8 yards per carry for his career, finishing this particular season in 2019 with 1,536 yards, an 8-yard per carry average, and 22 rushing touchdowns, total touchdowns, 22. And despite his career endeavors, not invited to the Heisman Trophy presentation in any of his 3 seasons at Clemson. Underlining, getting past the statistics for Travis Etienne, because, of course, much of this yardage was gained against inferior competition. Against Ohio State, look at Travis Etienne's 3 touchdowns, and you get a better glimpse into the greatness. The first touchdown, the Buckeyes led 16-0. Clemson had a 3rd and 2 inside the Ohio State 5-yard line. They pitched it right, and in one carry, Etienne showed off the cutting ability, the vision, the ability once he cut to stop on the dime and burst through the hole, and then the power to both elude and then also power through 5 Ohio State defenders into the end zone for a touchdown to get Clemson on the board. His next 2 big plays against the Buckeyes for scores were catch and run plays. The first one in the open field made a man miss. That was Malik Harrison, Ohio State's most athletic linebacker, and then he just split right through the defense. He went by Ohio State defensive backs that had a 15 or 20-yard lead and went right between them for the touchdown. On the 3rd touchdown, which of course was the game winner, he caught the ball in open space, whipped the linebacker already on the pattern, caught the ball in open space, and then outran Jordan Fuller for the end zone for the game-winning touchdown. Travis Etienne could not earn yardage the traditional way in the running back set against Ohio State, 10 carries for 36 yards, so he burned the Buckeyes in the second half for big plays through the air. J-Dixon, 636 yards, 6.2 yards per carry, and 6 touchdowns. He is the main replacement and complement to Etienne in the backfield, although against Ohio State, with Etienne getting most of the carries, 10, and then they utilized him, of course, out of the backfield as a receiver. Dixon only had 1 carry for 17 yards against Ohio State. His most productive game this year against a quality opponent was against Texas A&M, 11 carries, 77 yards, and a touchdown. Now looking at the LSU Rush Defense. Auburn gained 130 yards on 33 carries, less than 4 yards per carry. Alabama's Najee Harris did run 19 times for 7.7 yards per carry against LSU's rush defense. Texas A&M wasn't nearly as successful, 26 carries and 72 yards. But Texas A&M, on the other hand, despite a lot of talent, only had the 68th best rushing offense in the country statistically. But you also have to consider there were a number of LSU sacks in that game, as Isaiah Spiller did have a productive game for the Aggies, 11 carries and 66 yards in a 50-7 rout by LSU. Georgia, with one of the best running back stables in college football, could only gain 61 yards on 25 carries against LSU, 2.4 yards per carry. DeAndre Swift was compromised in that game due to injury and only carried 2 times for 13 yards. Oklahoma, basically their rushing statistics were not necessarily relevant in this game. They got behind so quickly, so early. They ran it 28 times for 97 yards. Kennedy Brooks, one of the best running backs in the nation statistically, carried 10 times for 35 yards, so they shut him down to 3.5 yards per carry. Jalen Hurts, again, the sack yardage compromises this total, 14 carries for 43 yards for Jalen Hurts against LSU. So nobody really burned them badly. Najee Harris, as one specific back, was the most successful in a competitive game. Certainly 46-41 LSU as that game went down to the last few minutes. Isaiah Spiller's 11 carries for 66 yards have to be put into question considering that LSU routed Texas A&M from the start in that game. The X factor in this game and in this particular matchup with Clemson's rush offense taking on LSU's defensive front seven in particular is the play of Trevor Lawrence as a runner. We saw him being utilized against Ohio State very effectively with two long runs in that game. And you got to think that LSU defensive coordinator Dave Aranda has now had 16 days to plot and game plan the two aspects of the Clemson offense that were effective against Ohio State, and that was Trevor Lawrence running the ball and them having an extra man since the quarterback was effective running the ball against Ohio State, and then also Etienne, because he couldn't gain yardage as a traditional runner, coming out of the backfield to catch passes for big, huge, mammoth, game-changing plays against Ohio State, as he gained just 36 yards as a running back on 10 carries. LSU, more effective late in the season, both against the pass and against the run, once they dropped from the standard 3-4 base defense to a 4-3 defense as they dropped a defensive lineman, and that in particular freed up K'Lavon Chaisson to harass the quarterback. That's the Clemson rushing offense against the LSU defense. We need to hear from you now. Leave your comments in the section below, and we will respond right here at Mark Rogers TV, the voice of college football. I've got to catch up on these comments, but I will do so here in the next few weeks. Let's get you set for the championship game. It's Monday night. Can't wait for it. Had to wait 16 days. I think it's going to be a great game. Clemson, LSU. Let's talk it up right here at the voice of college football.